Have you ever walked into a store planning to just look around and somehow left with a bag full of things you didn't plan to buy? This is what happens with me at the Target all the time. And that's not an accident, that's psychology at work. And today we are going to discuss the science of how we actually make decisions as a consumers and how brands are using those insights all the time. The myth of rational choice. We like to think we are rational buyers. We compare features, we weigh prices, we make logical decisions. But no, we are not. We are actually not. We're not rational. Most of our choices are emotional first, rational second. Neuromarketing studies show that more than 90% of purchase decisions happen in the subconscious mind, long before we can explain them logically. This means that your brain makes a choice first, and then you come up with a logical explanation later. So when you say, I bought this car because it's reliable, the reality is probably closer to, I bought this car because it made me feel successful and confident. Alright, let's go to the juicy part. The 5 hacks brands use all the time to make us buy more stuff. Scarcity and urgency. Our brains are wired to overvalue what is rare. Psychologists call this reactance. When we feel something might be taken away, we want it even more. Like the famous cookie experiment. Participants were split into 2 groups. One got a jar with 10 cookies and the other only with 2 cookies. The cookies were identical, but people constantly rated the cookies from a smaller jar as a tastier, more desirable, and even worth paying more for. Our brains evolved to treat scarce resources as more valuable for survival. If something is harder to get, it must be worth more. Brands use this everywhere. Only 2 seats left at this price, countdown timers on booking sites, or Starbucks pumpkin spice latte available only for a few months a year. Social proof. Humans are herd animals. If other people are buying, we assume it must be good. Psychologist Robert Cialdini, in his book Influence, called this the social proof principle. The classic demonstration of this is the experiment from the 1950s. Participants were shown simple picture of lines and asked which one matched in length. The answer was obvious, but in each group, several people were secretly actors who worked with the researchers. These actors deliberately gave the wrong answers. And around 75% of participants confirmed at least once, given an obviously wrong answer, just because everyone else did. So the social proof is the idea that if other people are doing something, it must be the right things to do. And companies use this every day. Amazon review and ratings. You don't need to try a product yourself. Thousands of stars tell you it's good. Bestseller or most popular choice tags. Those little labels guide us instantly. Social media hype. Why did the Stanley Cup become a craze? Not because it holds water better, but because millions of people showed they had one. Long lines. A crowd outside make us assume that the food at the restaurant must be amazing. Anchoring. This is a trick of showing you a very expensive option just to make the middle option look like a bar. Example from the restaurant sphere. The $80 steak isn't really meant to sell, it's there to make the $40 steak look more reasonable. Anchoring is when our brains rely too heavily on the first number we see. And this psychologist first demonstrated this in 1974. They spun a random wheel with numbers and asked participants to estimate percentage on some random things. Even though the wheel was random, people's guesses were heavily influenced by the numbers they saw first. That's the power of anchoring. Our brain grabs onto the first number we see and use it as a reference point, whatever it makes sense or not. So next time you see an overpriced menu item or discount that looks too good to be true, remember, you are not choosing freely, you are reacting to the anchor someone else set for you. The rule of giving back. Another powerful hack in marketing is something psychologists call the rule of giving back. When someone gives us something, no matter how small it is, we feel a strong urge to give something in return. The classic proof comes from the experiments in 1971. Participants were paired with another person in what looked like an art evaluation study. During a break, sometimes the partner, who was actually working with the researcher, brought back a free soda. Later, he asked participants to buy raffle tickets, and people who got the free soda bought twice as many tickets as those who didn't. And brand use this rule constantly. Free samples. You taste your snack at the grocery store and feel that little pull to make a purchase. Free trials from the digital services. Once they have given you a month of music or movies, it is hard to cancel the subscription. Content marketing. Free books, free webinars, or tools online. Once you have gotten value, you are more likely to trust and support this brand. So when a brand gives you something, even something tiny, your brain quietly whispers, I owe them. And often the easiest way to repay is to buy. Expert and professionals. As humans, we have a tendency to trust authority. This is called the authority principle, and it explains why brands highlight expert certification or even uniforms in their marketing. The most famous demonstration of this comes from the Milgram experiment. Psychologist Stanley Milgram wanted to study obedience. Participants were told they were helping with a learning experiment. A man in a lab coat, so authority figure, instructed them to give electric shocks to another person when they made mistakes. In reality, the shocks weren't real, but participants didn't know that. And 75% of people delivered the maximum voltage, even thought that they thought it was extremely painful just because an authority figure told them to. So when someone looks like an expert or has an authority, people are much more likely to comply, even against their own judgment. And how brands use it? You probably heard of this one. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend. The image of doctors in white coats, chefs in tall hats, athletes endorsing sports gear. These figures borrow trust from their profession and transfer it onto the product. What other symbols of authority do we have? Lab coats, certificates, medals, or official stamps like FDA approved. And even when customers don't understand the certification, the symbol itself creates confidence. It works really well because authority reduces uncertainty. It saves us from doing the hard work of evaluating a product ourselves. And when we see expert symbols, our brain relaxes and thinks, this must be the right choice. The experts have already decided for me. The future of marketing. These psychological triggers aren't new. Scarcity, social proof, authority, they have been around forever. But what is changing now is how precisely brand can use them today. 20 years ago, a brand could place a billboard and hope that you would notice it. But today, with AI and algorithm, they know when you're most likely to be tired, when you're most likely to be scrolling and feel impulsive. And that's when ads hits you. And it works because the same old emotions are now being pulled with a surgical precision. For example, personalization. Spotify and Netflix know what you like and in what mood you are on Friday night. So they can recommend you the best music, the best movie. And of course, this is not random. It's psychologically and data that they have about you. They don't need to guess which emotion to trigger because the algorithm has already figured it out. We are not far from a world where marketing feels less like advertising and more like a professional assistant who knows your interests and your weakness. It knows when you are stressed, it knows when you are lonely, and it knows when you are in the mood to splurge. And in those moments, it doesn't sell you a product, it sells you an emotion that feels like exactly what you need right now. So here is a question. Are we really making our own choices, or are these choices being made for us? And this isn't about blaming marketing. These tools can also be used for good. Public health campaigns use the same psychology to encourage people to quit smoking or start to exercise more. Sustainability campaigns use emotional triggers to nudge people towards eco-friendly products. Even finance apps use AI to help people save money by framing it as a reward, like, congratulations, you just saved $20 toward your goal. So next time you see an ad, stop and ask yourself, what part of my brain are they trying to hack right now? Is it scarcity, social proof, authority, or maybe it's just the raw power of emotion? If this made you rethink how you shop, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who always comes home with accidental shopping bags. Thank you so much for watching.